Chapter 7. Anybody know what that's about? Anybody looked ahead? Come on, man, it's Tuesday. You 2 days into your 7 days to get this done. Come on, Brian, tell us what it's about.
Huh?
Tell us what it's about.
I didn't look at it, but I'm going to focus on like supply, demand, and stuff like that.
Actually, you're not too far. The first two things are consumers and producers. Consumers are demanders, right? Largely you. This has been your experience in the market, predominantly has been as a consumer. In other words, demand. Okay. Producers, supply, right? People who supply things. All right. And the second or the third part, so consumers, producers, and the efficiency of markets. Economics is all about efficiency. Okay. Efficiency is getting the most output or enjoyment out of your inputs. What's your key input? Everyone. You guys know you're a factory? You're a supplier. What do you supply? Let's go deeper than that.
Labor.
Labor. Your own time. Do you realize you're your own employee? How do you allocate your time? Do you allocate it efficiently or do you allocate it inefficiently? All right. Who's on TikTok? You know the only TikTok I care about is the next 5 minutes. TikTok, 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 TikTok. Why? Because the next 5 minutes, you'll never get them back. You'll never get them back. Think about that. I can make $1 million, lose $1 million, and get another $1 million. I'll never get the next 5 minutes back, so let's make it worth it, huh? Consumers, producers, efficiency of markets. Remember in macro, at least most of y'all I taught, not everyone. I told you that, the only, your biggest deal when you're looking at efficiency is how you allocate it. And if you allocate it poorly, it's inefficiency. And if it's inefficiency, you're not being productive. And we talked about one of the principles, like 7 or something, it said countries or people, groups of people who produce more have a what? Higher standard of living. So if you're a country unto yourself, if you're more efficient and you take your time and don't spend it on the TikTok, but spend it on TikTok, you'll be more productive. What does that mean in here? How are you more productive in here? You learn more. And if you learn more in here, do you perform better? Yeah, you get a higher grade. You get a higher grade, do you get my recommendation when you're looking for a job? You bet. You bet. You're showing yourself to be capable. So every day you think, I just got to get through this homework. No, you're getting yourself better. Every time you come through that door, you need to get better. Why? Because then you become more productive. And if you're more productive, you're going to have a higher standard of living. How? You're going to build something called human capital. And if you build human capital, which is training, knowledge, and experience, people are going to pay you more for your time. You are a product selling your time. The product is you. Have you ever bought something that just wasn't worth it? Did you ever buy it again? You are that product. Economics, hell of a motivator. All right? Or you could just go through life aspiring just to be average or above average. Or excellent. What's excellence? Efficiency. Consumers, producers, and the efficiency of markets. By the way, we have started a new degree here at SMC, and it's called the BABA. It's the Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration. You can learn more at that address. It will start in the fall. So sophomores, you want to start being juniors and seniors. Okay. We have 4 fields you can go into: accounting and finance, economics and finance. Actually, a little bit different. This is more like CPA. Eventually, you're going to work on, an accounting, and this is more or less like, hey, you want to work in banking kind of thing, or perhaps real estate loans, that type of thing. Marketing and sales. Number 1 job in America, marketing and sales. Okay. Management and entrepreneurship. You want to start your own business? You want to know how to run a business? Do that. I worked as a market analyst at Michelin North America for a year. Discovered I did not like the cubicle life, so I went back to grad school and got into marketing and sales because it's the one employer, right? All right, did that for 10 years. Management and entrepreneurship. You're like, well, I just want to work for somebody. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur either way. Trust me, Michelin North America has a whole department of entrepreneurs, and what they do is just go around solving problems for the for the company. Because what do entrepreneurs do? They identify problems, they bring solutions. Sound good? If you're interested in that, let me know. Happy to have you. All right. Now, let's talk about chapter 7. Why we're getting into chapter 7? Well, what happens next week? Exam 1. I'm yet to actually make it. You won't see it in MindTap yet. It actually appears on Sunday night at 12:01, I guess, a.m. So you'll do this week's homework, and then you'll see, boom, it like pops up early next week. It'll be due next Wednesday. So 1 week from tomorrow by 11:59 in MindTap. You guys have all been through macro. You kind of know how that works. I haven't made it yet because honestly, I was wanting to teach through a little bit and say, hey, I kind of asked this, I kind of taught that, kind of emphasize this. I'll make that this week. All right. This is kind of the third lecture in the third chapter, so I wanted to get through that before I started making those things. Just a heads up on that. So, you guys remember our friend the graph, right? What did I tell you about the graph and macro? Y'all remember? I mean, I know it's a lot going on. It was very simple. Is the graph our enemy? It's your friend. Remember all those tables we went through? Like, hey, willingness to pay. I'll tell you, Skittles is this price. I'll buy this many. It goes up. I'll buy less. It goes up more. I'll buy even less. How much less? Elasticity, which we talked about in the first chapter. You see how this stuff ties together? The graph is a simplification of a lot of information. All right. So there's your supply curve. We know the law of supply says, hey, if you pay me more money as a worker, I'll give you more hours. Anybody going to argue with that? No. It's funny because remember when we first started talking about supply, you're all like, oh yeah, price goes down, let's sell more. Man, that's demand. That's your consumer inside. It's such a beast. All right? You guys are perfect predators in the market. You're like the great white shark of consumerism. You're like low price. I smell it. I'm going. Just like a shark. All right? But you have to remember with the supply, the law of supply says price goes up, my quantity supplied goes up. That's why it's a positively sloped line. Negatively sloped lines, demand. This is what you know. Higher price, you buy lower quantity. Higher price, we on this axis, hits it right there. You buy lower quantity. Lower price, you buy more quantity. Where these two things intersect are where buyers and sellers have a common ground, and that's where they're allowed to do business unless the government gets involved. If we had no government, this class would have ended last week. We wouldn't have had to talk about that, would we? Okay? Hello? Freaking government, right? Your equilibrium, your price at equilibrium, your quantity equilibrium. Now, you guys remember when we were going around, we were looking at the price tag, you like walk over to like a rack or something in a department store or something. You remember when we used to go shopping? Remember that? Or you're on Amazon, you click over and you're trying to find like new sneakers or something. Anyway, you go and look at a price and you can have one of three reactions, right? You look at the price and you're like, woo, that's too much, and you back away. Why do we always walk backwards from that? I don't know. You ever feel that? Like I feel like literally moonwalking away from a high price. All right? We just say no way. There's a mechanism in your head that said these shoes have this value, that price is way over that, I'm not going to buy it. That's the one possible. The second possible reaction is you go in there and you look at the price and you say, that's about right. That's about right. Let me think about it. You make a lap around the store, you realize, I do have the money for that. I'm going to go get them. Or, I may wait till next week. But it's about right. You have that same mechanism in your mind that says, those shoes, which I desire, are about right. What do we do if you walk up there and you think it's $150 pair of tennis shoes and they're $50? What mechanism trips in your mind then? Right? You get what I like to call the sharp elbows. Anybody ever play basketball? The sharp elbows, you know what I'm talking about? It's, tight game late. You get that rebound, I get the sharp elbows. You understand? And if you try to take that ball from me, I'm going to take this elbow and hit you that way, and then I'm going to come back this like I'm trying to pass, and you're going to be out on the floor. The sharp elbows. I get the sharp elbows when I go in there and my value, my mind, says that's a $150 pair of shoes, and they're on sale for $50. They are mine. Dun, 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 dun. Have you ever seen The Bin? You guys know what I'm talking about? Guys, it's a little awkward for us. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about? The Bin. On a few occasions, I've been in certain areas of a department store or certain stores altogether which may make the male species feel a little bit uncomfortable. Do I have to spell it out? It's being recorded. Can y'all just give me a nod? You know what I'm talking about? Every now and then you got to buy undergarments. Now, can I get a few of these? Every now and then certain stores put undergarments in a large bin. You walk up to said bin. I'm not going to judge, guys. You might be in there too. I don't know. And there's a bin. It looks like a crate. Okay. And there's like a little lady from Pecklet with her legs hanging out like this. Okay. And she's a-digging, looking for her size, because everything's 85% off. Now are we up with the bin? Okay. That is the power of consumerism. That is the power of finding the shoes that were $150 in value and you get them for $50. That is finding the undergarment 85% off. It will make you do strange things, will it not? How do you feel if you get a good deal on something? Huh? You feel proud. I see power. I see pride. I see a bad mother who's not gonna. No one watched Cool Runnings. You know what I'm talking about? The guy in the bathroom and he goes out and like punches the Swedish guy and gets his butt kicked. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you. One person got it. Thank you. That would have been very awkward if someone hadn't laughed. Just for the record of the internet, someone laughed at my Cool Runnings joke. All right. You feel good, right? I mean, you feel real good. You're like, hey, everyone, come see how good I look. Anybody? Anchorman? Yeah. It's a good one, isn't it? I might watch it after this class. You feel good. You said, man, look, I got $100 off these shoes. I got 85% off these whatevers. Okay? You feel good. It makes you happy. You know what in macro I told you, economics is just a language course, is it not? You've done everything, pretty much everything. There's a few things you haven't done. You don't have a ton of experience in taxes in the banking system, and for that I apologize. It's not going to be fun for you, but at least you'll speak the lingo. What is the economic word for how you feel in terms of happiness? Utility. Utility. Now, there are some nuts economists out there that says we can measure utility. I'm not one of those. Your scale might be 1 to 5, mine may be 1 to 10, yours is 1 to 3. How can I measure your happiness versus his happiness versus my happiness? But we can all agree if we get 85% off of something, we feel happy. True? Do you know we can graph it? We already have. The price you get, right? The price you have to pay versus the price you would have paid. If you feel like you get a little more deal, you get area on this graph that makes you happy, and that's called consumer surplus. Okay? So the first thing we're looking at here is consumer surplus. Let's start here. Question. On this graph, remember this demand schedule is a simplification of, or this demand line rather, is a simplification of a demand schedule, which is a table that says, hey man, Skittles are this much, I want this many. If they go down, I want this many. If they go down, I want this many. This is, hey man, if Skittles are at this price, I want that quantity. If Skittles are at this price, I want that quantity. See the price going down, you want more? Well, if Skittles are this price, you want that quantity, do you not? All right. So at this price right here, would you buy Skittles? Uh-huh. You would. You buy that many. You understand? That's the schedule on which you buy something. Eventually, you have to have shoes, right? Even if they're overpriced. You just won't have 6 pair. Okay? If we get over here, and the price is here, you might have 6 pair. Got me? See how elegant that is? Elegantly simple. Okay? But how did it make you feel? Well, if you can only get 1 pair because it's a really high price, you're happy to have shoes. just not as happy as you would if you had 6 pair. Make sense? All right. So how do we, long story short, how do we measure this? Everything above price. So you would have paid now if it was up here, you wouldn't have paid it because that's above our schedule. Okay? Everything above price and below the demand curve, because that means it's on your demand schedule, is consumer surplus. That's how good you feel. All right? Now, let's draw this again. And let's say people, for some reason, start producing more supply. Price 1. What happened to the price of shoes? It went down, right? What happened to the quantity of shoes you now want to own? Q1, Q2. Price goes down, quantity demanded goes up. It moves Q to the new equilibrium, and you buy more shoes. Are you happier that you get a lower price and more shoes? Yeah, man, you really are. How much happier? Well, recall, this was consumer surplus 1, right? What is my new consumer surplus? Everything above the price. Let me use a different color. It'll stick out. Everything above the price and below the demand curve. Consumer surplus 2. How much happier did the lowering of price make me? Now, originally we had this, right? Now we have, so originally we had this, now we have that. Okay? How much happier did it make us? That's your gain in consumer surplus. Can you get areas of squares and shapes and triangles and stuff? If I put numbers up there, could you technically tell me, in terms of the dollar value, how much better off you are? Couldn't you? You give me an area of a square and a triangle, because really that's an area of a rectangle and a triangle. If you add it together, that's how much gain I got economically speaking. But is that the same thing as utility? There's a Nobel laureate in there somewhere. Your scale might be 1 to 5. My scale might be 1 to 10. Your scale's 1 to 3. I would argue to my dying breath, which I'm not going to argue about it when I'm dying. I'm just going to think about some cool stuff. But I would argue that no, utility is different. Some people are just happier than others, yeah? So utility is different. But that is my gain in consumer surplus. That's that good feeling when you turn that tag over and you say, these are mine. All right, and you have a sense of pride that can last days, does it not? It can last days. That's my email. Sorry about that. Everybody get consumer surplus? Yes, sir.
You say consumer surplus, like 2 was above the price and below the demand?
Yeah, everything above price and below the demand curve. In fact, we probably should just write that out.
That's just consumer surplus. Any
Any consumer surplus. See, what changed here is we shifted supply and there's more shoes on the market. They threw in the bin. You got me? People are in there, their feet sticking out. Okay. Everything above price and below the demand curve is consumer surplus. Okay. So let's write that out. Okay. I'm trying to keep it on screen so my people watching us from home. Hey, Mom, can do this. So consumer surplus. So it's everything above price and below the demand curve. That's a good rule to keep in mind. Right? Just remember, I'm not trying to fool you. You got a PhD in this stuff, and I still need a textbook. That's why when I let you take the exams, you can have your notes right there. That's a nice little cheat, right? It's like a little cheat code. Okay? I didn't say the only way you cheat in here is if you take your exam with other people. If you find out about that, you let me know. Even if you're participating, you give me proof. Like Charles is cheating. Brian brings me a video of it. It's on TikTok. I'll give him a, who was cheating? Charles was cheating and Brian was cheating with him, but it turned on him like a Law and Order episode. Okay? You bring me proof of that, I'll give you a 100 and him a 0. Principle number 4, rule number 1 of economics. People respond to incentives. Keep in mind, Dr. Brown has a section. I got all kinds of sections. Not to mention, you guys in micro, you know the deal. Seek out one of these macro kids and see if you can get them to do it. 100s do transcend across sections. Trust me, my upper level people are trying to look for you. What did I just do? I just gave everyone the economic incentive to behave. Aha. Aha. Okay. Questions? Can I erase all that? Because I kind of want to keep everything on the one board. All right, I can erase all that. You guys take a moment. Like calisthenics. We're good? Let's call a commercial break. You guys are actually, I'm curious to see. A lot of big research about how people who watch TV a lot, they focus, they have commercial and they focus. But you guys are kind of the Netflix generation. Y'all binge. So I'm like, can we binge economics? What are you guys doing for the next 18 hours? Y'all want to dig in? We'll get the whole course done right now. Why wait? Why wait for the season to play out? I'm not Amazon. I'm not holding the episodes back. No, too much at once. I'm like you. I like to savor it. You miss things if you don't savor it. It's like episodes of The Boys on Amazon. Anybody watch that? It's a wild show. Probably shouldn't admit that I watched that, but it's a wild show. I'm just so happy that you got my joke earlier. Because that was deep. I mean, that is like early 90s, Cool Runnings, John Candy. I mean, come on. I tell you something that you never believe. You're on Jamaica, got a boss. You take a fashion set of fashions of Jamaican sprinters. Put them together to make them winners. Hey, Saka, you dead, man? Yeah, man. Get away. You know, we were talking about, right?
Every time you ask them that, I died.
Yeah, I died. I'm fine. You're so obsessed with these Swiss. It's always about the Swiss. If you find a woman, you will probably grab her and say, I'm fine, and push her down a hill. Y'all, your assignment, extra points, is to watch Cool Runnings between now and the next lecture. You get a week.
Better keep your word on that.
Huh?
Better keep your word on that.
It's worth it.
He took a picture of me before class. I'm going to give him some points. Did we not come to that deal?
Oh, yeah.
What's currency in this economy? No, what is our dollar? In this class, what is the dollar? You come to office hours all the time. How do I pay you?
Oh, funny.
Just saying. I'm over here just what? Picture me with one of those little see-through green hats on. All right? I'm just pulling up your points, man. That's how you earn it. All right? That's how you learn over time, not binging. Okay, over time, a little bit each time. Okay, I wish I could do my job all at once. That'd be awesome. Like, what would I do if we sat here for the next 18 hours and knocked out the entire course? I'm off until August. But the weather kind of stinks, so what am I going to do? Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. All right? I wish it was the old-fashioned way. We're going to get 150 minutes and we'll be doing some crazy stuff up in here. Now I got to hurry, which includes right now. So let's shift to producer circles. Now, the biggest way I can get you guys to be a supplier, to understand producing, is to remind you that you are a supplier. You supply people with your time. You want to charge a high price or a low price? As high price as you possibly can, yes? Because if you get paid more, you enjoy a higher standard of living. But if you enjoy a higher standard of living, that must come from you being productive, because if you're not very productive, you won't be paid a high salary for very long. All of that makes sense, right? It's common sense. Speaking of common sense, there's a little documentary. It's about an hour long on YouTube about Thomas Sowell, and it's called Common Sense in a Senseless World. Okay? Okay. Thomas Sowell is a goat. Send me some reflections on it. I'll give you 100 on homework. It's 56 minutes. It's on YouTube. Dude's a goat. I'll step back. I can take pictures of it if you want. I'm honored to say he's one of my inspirations. If you can't watch that video and see how I teach versus how he taught, then I can't help you. Thomas Sowell. There's constantly a guy being interviewed on there. Thomas Sowell's hard to get an interview with, but a guy named Walter Williams, he's the other guy. He just passed away, Walter Williams. Two of my favorite people of all time. These are people who came up in the 50s and 60s, and both are African American. Socially, you can't imagine what they went up through the 50s and 60s, being in higher ed, and they didn't freaking turn their heads. Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is still with us. He's turning 90. Walter Williams just passed a couple weeks ago. If you want to learn about econ, Thomas Sowell. Back. All right. Now, if you recall on that graph, you can still kind of see it. We talked about up here. What about down there? Got me? Everything above price and below the demand curve was consumer surplus. Okay? If you're selling your time or your product and you get to sell it for a higher price, how does that make you feel? Awesome, right? Makes you feel really good. Okay? So, producer surplus is how awesome you feel. Okay? It is everything below price and above the supply curve. Forget demand for a second. Remember, the supply curve is just a visual, graphical representation of the supply schedule, is it not? It's just okay, at this price, I'll give you this little bit. At this price, I'll give you more. At this price, I'll give you more. If you gave me this price, man, I'll give you all this over here. Okay? But there's two parties here, okay? There's two parties here. You also have to have a consumer who wants the lowest price possible to get the most. And you want to sell the highest amount possible for the highest price. Not everybody's going to get everything, but just like life, and not everybody's going to get everything they want, but just like life, compromise is going to come in. Make sense? Okay? So, at this low price down here, would they have supplied something? Yep. That low quantity. At this price, would they have supplied something? Yep. That quantity. So on and so forth. Gabby? Are they happy that they get this higher price and this higher quantity? Yes. How happy are they? That happy. Here's your surplus. It's really neat stuff when you think about it. Everybody thinks, oh, so economics is just supply and demand. That's probably what a lot of people take away from this, but it's a lot more than that. It's a little more elegant. It captures a lot. All right. Now, if, let's say, you're the manufacturer of M&Ms, and this is your current situation, this is the price you get to sell it and the quantity of M&Ms you sell, but tonight on the news, Dun, 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 dun. Hello, it's Tom Brokaw. Research has found that M&Ms prevent cancer and mimic the effects of Viagra. Could theoretically happen, couldn't it? We've heard some crazy stuff on the news, have we not? If M&M's suddenly was found to cure cancer and mimic the effects of Viagra, will that affect supply or demand? Demand. Will we move left towards zero or right towards a lot? Called the M&M effect, if you want. What is my new price? Right there, yeah. Price 2, right? Did price go up? What is my new quantity? Q2. Did quantity go up? Yeah. That's my new equilibrium, is it not? What is my new consumer circle? I'm sorry, producer circle. Producers are very, very happy, are they not? Are they getting more money to sell more product? Does that mean good things for them? Everything below price and above the supply. What's this? Gains in producer circle. Everybody's like, well, wouldn't consumers be happy too? Heck yeah, man. It cures cancer and gives you the effect of Viagra. That would actually be another shift eventually, because does Viagra have competitors in the market? They did initially, but did they shortly? Yes, because if you realize that you get a lot of money on, okay, people will enter that market. And if they enter that market, supply then moves, which drives prices down, which then makes consumers even happier. Of course, you're also talking about a market that only affects, generally speaking, one side of the gender aisle. Although indirectly, well, it's not good. I worked in there for 5 years, and I actually sold on Spiff. It was maybe one of my primary products that I just had on the side, Levitra, which was one of the first competitors with Viagra along with Cialis. Those were always interesting conversations. Before that, I sold a drug called Nasacort, which is now over the counter. It's a spray you put in your nose. You don't look bad with your allergies. It really knocks them out. In my experience. You can now get that over the counter. Nasacort packaging looks eerily similar to Viagra packaging. This is a commercial break, by the way. I was in Sumter, South Carolina, pulling my little bag of drugs. I was a legal, capital L, drug dealer. It's the same concept. You give them some for free, they get hooked, and then you start charging them. I literally had a heart pill. If you stop taking it too quickly, it would kill you. Kind of like heroin. Okay? Same concept. Gave them some for free. They got hooked. I'm walking around, something in my big bag, and all kind of drug samples in there. The fellow saw me in the doctor's office, said, you know what, that's Viagra. It wasn't. It was Nasacort. It's meant to help you with your snotty nose. Okay? It wasn't Viagra. Fella follows me into the parking garage there at the Sumter Hospital. He said, hey man, I know you got that Viagra, I want some of them. Pick up the pace. Before you know it, I'm in a dead sprint back to my car, hoping that, this fella doesn't find me. And I start thinking about, you know what, I could just throw the drugs at him and he would be just, satiated that way. But then I realized if you cut back and I didn't have them, I started to think about Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic Park 3 where they have the Velociraptor eggs? And the fellow says, you know what, we should just put these back. But the other fellow says, well, no, they're going to find us. And what if they find us without them? So I Jurassic Park 3'd it out of there. Okay? What if he had found me without them? Now, granted, this fellow was needing a little help in that department, so I could rule out a sexual assault pretty quickly. Okay? Come on, that was a joke. Anyone? All right. Sorry, this is the TVEMA portion of the lecture you guys enjoy. I got tenure and a sugar mama. Here we go. Okay? What if you found it without them? Just because you think somebody has Viagra, don't chase them to a parking lot. Okay? They may not actually have Viagra. It could be Nasacort. You guys want to Google like a Viagra package and then Google what Nasacort looks like in terms of the sample? They look very eerily. I gave feedback to the company. You guys are going to get me killed out here. They were literally breaking into people's cars to try to steal Viagra. Crazy times. You know, Viagra started out as a heart pill, right? The male participants in the trial had a certain side effect that Pfizer decided, you know what, we're going to make something entirely different. It's called the law of unintended consequences. This is honestly why I got my PhD, not the Viagra part, but I'm just interested when people try to do one thing and it turns out to be something else. You guys try to get through school without working, and that turns out to be something else, a non-productive, underpaid, and you're complaining about your degree for the rest of your life that you're trying to pay for because it didn't earn you any money. Is it my fault or is it yours for not taking advantage of the opportunities? See how life works? The obstacle is the way. We've come full circle. Producer surplus. Any questions? Can we put these two bad boys together? We should. We're running out of time. What time do we go to? I always have the math lines. Is it 10:15? We have 10 minutes. Not enough time for light calisthenics. However, I've allowed you to gather yourself intellectually, and let's go again. Sound good? Okay. In the homework and in the reading, you will see supply and demand look something like this. People get confused. Honestly, it's the one thing I don't like about this textbook. I mean, there's a couple things I don't like, but mostly I love this textbook, but the one thing I don't like is when they do this. What they're doing is they're stepping you through the demand curve in different people. Obviously, we are all under the supply and demand curve, yes? It's not just you, it's not just me, it's all of us. You got me? What they're doing here is an oversimplification that, quite frankly, I don't care for. Remember how we played Connect the Dots when we're talking about supply and demand schedules? Let's play it again. Like a demand curve to me, does it not? It's an oversimplification. I don't care for that approach. So your first few sections of the reading, you'll see a block demand and a block supply. Don't let it fool you. See what I'm doing there? Don't let it fool you. It's like that on the homework too. So when it's blocked off like this, let's say equilibrium's there. Isn't this my consumer surplus, these blocks? What they do is instead of making that triangle, they make a series of blocks. So like, I'm a block, Charles is a block, Brian's a block. You guys are all blocks. And then they add it up and you add it all up and everybody's surplus. Don't let that fool you. I think personally you guys are more intelligent than that. I think it's oversimplification. I really do. I think it's an oversimplification. So don't let that screw you up. Just connect the dots. All right, on the elbows, the points of them. Just connect the dots in your mind. Okay. You will see it in the reading. You will see it on the homework. I promise you, you won't see it on the exam. The exam, you'll be doing this. Got me? Okay. I just had to clarify that because I'm like on Sunday, and you guys finally get around to your homework so you can earn your 63. And I'm sitting there and you're like, hey man, you never told us about these things that look like blocks. What was that? All right, guess what? You should have been watching this video if you're at home. If you're gonna play from home, you gotta work even harder. You good? You good? Am I good? Did I wet myself or something? Am I all right? Sometimes I get carried away. He wants to hear about the Viagra stories again, doesn't he? That wasn't the only time I was chased because someone thought I had Viagra. The one time I actually did have Levitra, they gave us these little pins that folded up. Did I tell you about this? And you press, you know, like a pen? Well, this one folded in half, so it was about that long. And you pushed a button and it went. And it said Levitra. Those nasty marketers. They're great. It was hilarious. I still have one. I'll try to bring one next week. But what's wrong with people? What happened to integrity? Advertising with integrity. No, you got a bunch of juveniles in our marketing department coming up with a pen that does this. I'll bring one. You don't believe me? I'll bring it. It's purple and has an orange, anyway. I've never really understood the Cialis ads. You ever seen the Cialis ads on TV? Can you tell me about them? They obviously can't show what they're intended to do, but what do they do? Come on,
The
y'all.
one with the fruit, or not the fruit, the vegetables, or they're all
They're always outside in something.
I don't know.
A bathtub? You ever seen those ads? Like people sitting in a bathtub?
Oh, yeah.
They're in separate bathtubs. That could be part of the problem. This is meant for a comedic value. See, when you have a demographic that's between the ages of 18 and 20, you have to be funny to keep their attention. Secretly, I'm letting what I just drew on the board marinate in their brains. A Harvard study tells me if I give them breaks, it'll sink in and they'll learn. I have actually found that people who attend these classes regularly, and I do this for, they actually are more motivated and perform higher. That's 6 years of research. So whatever, Gertrude, if you're mad at how I'm teaching, go get your PhD and try. All right? Questions? Let's put them together. We got no minutes. It's not hard. It's not hard. You guys good? Then you can just play around with it. Supply decreases, right? That's my new consumer surplus, is it not? This was my original consumer surplus. Are consumers happy? They do have some happy, but are they more or less happy? Less happy. The triangle's smaller. Okay? If you guys give me a minute, I'll go through this. Get around too much today, but you guys all right? If you need to go, you can go. Okay. If supply increases, that's my new consumer surplus. Originally, it was there, yes? Now it's there. Are they happy? They're always happy, but are they more happy? This is an exercise that you have a piece of scratch paper and these homework problems are describing, hey, this happens, price changes, supply changes, that type of thing, and you tell me if that triangle's bigger or not. It's honestly like, are you happier with a bigger slice of pizza or a smaller slice of pizza? Bigger slice of pizza. If your pizza gets smaller, are you less happy? Yes. Price quantity, supply, demand, price at equilibrium, quantity at equilibrium. I know I draw these fast. This comes from practice. Let's say demand increases. Price 2, quantity 2. Price went up, quantity went out. This was your original producer surplus. This is your new producer surplus. Producer is happier? Yep. Demand decreases. Okay, moves towards 0. All right. This was your original consumer surplus, or producer surplus rather. This is price 2. Price goes down, quantity goes down. They're making less money. Here's my new consumer surplus. It was here. Now it's there. It was here. Now it's there. Producer's a little less happy. Okay. So there's a lot of different combinations where supply and demand can move, and it affects your happiness. Just like when we walked in there and we saw $150 shoes on sale for $50. Or if we walk in there and we see $150 shoes on sale for $220. Those two prices make you feel differently. They affect your surplus differently. They affect the consumer surplus. They affect the producer surplus. It is your job now to make sure you do the reading. Watch my PowerPoint lecture. I'm going to post this despite all my craziness. It should be in there as well, or at least I'll link it. I haven't quite figured out how to post it directly in there, but you guys also know tomorrow I'll go to my house and record it all over again, so it'll be there as well. And I'll break those up into little videos so you can learn in little snippets. There might be one part that you need to learn more than the other, or both of them put together, which we had to admittedly do in a short time today. You'll have a shorter video there. I break it down like it's for your own good, but I also have almost 7,200 subscribers on YouTube now. So when you do watch an ad before my lectures, and I make, instead of making one 30-minute lecture, I make 3 10-minute lectures. It gets me more ad revenue, and Google AdSense keeps sending me checks, so I'm going to keep doing it. Any problems with that? You're just mad you didn't think of it first. Going through life clever is a lot more fun. How do you get to be clever? You build knowledge. How do you build knowledge? Do the reading, watch the video, give it time on the homework. Next week, show me what you got on the test. Thomas Sowell, Common Sense in a Nonsense World or something like that. 56 minutes on YouTube. You watch that, send me proof to see if I don't perfecto one of your homeworks. I think it's that important. Dismissed. Y'all the people. But I appreciate the compliment.
How do you know if it's improved?
Hmm?
How do you know if it's improved?
Just send me a few sentences about it. What it meant to you, that kind of thing.